After a day of fleeting sunlight, several of Delhi's neighborhoods saw meteorological cold day conditions on Monday. The weather department has forecast rain for Tuesday. The maximum and minimum temperature on Tuesday may be 17 and 6 degrees Celsius respectively, with shallow fog in the morning, an official at IMD said. The weather department declared a cold day at Jafarpur, Narela. This. A cold day is declared when the minimum temperature is below 10 degrees Celsius and the maximum temperature is at least 4.5 degree below normal. The city's base station at Safdarjung recorded a marginal drop in the maximum temperature of 17 degrees Celsius on Monday, a notch below normal and slightly lower than 18 degrees Celsius a Monday earlier. The city continued to see hazy weather with an upper layer fog blocking sunlight in many areas. There are chances of very light rain to a drizzle in some areas of the city on Tuesday, the IMD official said. Air quality in the city remained in the very poor range. The air quality index was 345 on Monday against 333 a day earlier. The air quality is likely to remain in the very poor category from Tuesday. It is likely to improve but remain in the poor zone on Wednesday and Thursday. The IITM air quality early warning system said its outlook for the next 6 days. ये किसी और का है, ये है अपना, आज 2 आए थे. Delhi's PM 2.5 levels met the national ambient air quality standard of 60 micrograms per cubic meter on 154 days in 23, according to the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air. However, the PM 2.5 concentration breached the norm on 211 days last year. The PM 2.5 levels were in the good category with a concentration below 30 micrograms per cubic meter on 27 days in 23. This was, however, fewer than the number of good days in the previous year, yet last year Delhi also recorded the highest number of satisfactory days. There were no severe pollution days last year than in 22. In 23, there were 24 severe days against 8 such days in 22. The highest number of days was recorded in 19 at 36. The CREA analysis showed that the PM 2.5 concentration was below 30 micrograms per cubic meter on 27 days in this. Sunil Layya, analyst CREA, said the number of days with PM 2.5 levels meeting the NAQS mark have increased slightly, though the average pollution levels and preponderance of very poor and severe days indicated that apart from the relatively cleaner monsoon period, Delhiites still breathe in hazardous air. Consistent high pollution levels indicate that despite implementing BS6 emission norms and creating the National Clean Air Program, in absence of actual emission load reduction based targets, the agencies responsible have failed to achieve efficient pollution reduction. 23 saw the second lowest AQI of 204 after 20 when it was 85 according to the Commission of Air Quality Management. Barring 2023 had the best daily average AQI in 5 years between 2018 to 2023 in March, April, June and July, in the second best average in January, February and May. The Archaeological Survey of India has started conservation work on one of the two 18th century triple arch passways called the Tripolia Gate at Rana Pratap Bagh in North Delhi. The way is likely to finish within 3 months. Confirming the move, Praveen Kumar, SP superintending archaeologist, said the plaster lining the wall of the gateway was withered and the stone slabs have fallen off in parts. Both these problems would be addressed during the conservation. ASI's focus will be to maintain the aesthetic look of the structure and ensure the safety of people passing through the passageways. We have started the core conservation at the central arch of Tripolia Gate and then will cover the adjacent walls, said Kumar, adding that the structure had sustained damages due to the movement of heavy vehicles in the area. Vehicles have now been prohibited from going past the central arch and have been enrouted through another 2 arches. According to reports, container trucks have repeatedly rammed into the arches and even got stuck once, causing significant damage to the structure. This repair work was much needed since the loosed stones could have fallen and hurt someone, said local resident. Sandeep Singh, who is the conservation assistant at Tripolia Gate, said the work had been initiated and that the estimated cost of the project is around rupees 24 lakh. Delhi High Court has directed a private hospital in the city to provide free treatment to an acid attack survivor who claimed she has turned away by then a few weeks ago. The 28-year-old woman had been forced to drink acid allegedly by her husband after an argument in 2017. Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena on Monday approved the recommendations of a high-level committee and gave a go-ahead in the Revenue Department to simplify the standardize the income certificate issued for the economically weaker sections and the non-creamy layer by adopting the format prescribed by Central Government's Department of Personnel and Training. The uniform EWS and NCL income certificates will have to be accepted by all Delhi government departments while appointing the provisionally selected candidates on vacant posts. The need for streamlining the issue of certificate was felt after it was noticed that different subdivisions of the Revenue Department were issuing them at different format, creating unnecessary confusion and leading to a delay in the recruitment process and giving rise to unwanted litigations. Another official said Chief Secretary Naresh Kumar has set up a committee chaired by the Principal Secretary as a chairperson and the Director, Deputy Commissioner in Revenue Department and the Secretary of this. The certificate issuing authorities, sub-divisional magistrate and tehsildars will now to follow the format prescribed by DOPT and all user departments will have to accept those documents, leaving no scope of variations, the official said. Jawaharlal Nehru University issued another fresh schedule of PhD admissions 23 on Monday. It is available on the university's website. The first merit list will be published on January 11 and pre-enrollment registration and payment of fee with blocking of seat will be done on January 11, 12, 13. The second merit list will be released on January 18 and enrollment registration and payment of fees with blocking of seat of the second list will be made on January 18 and 19. Physical verification of admission registration of selected candidates of the second list will be done on January 22. The final list after registration, whereas the considered necessary, will be released tentatively on January 29. The deadline for admission is February 9. On the proposal for a new name for the district, Ghaziabad Mayor Sunita Dayal said they had been receiving requests for renaming the place for some time now. But this is the first time in the matter will be being discussed at the executive level. Calls to rename Ghaziabad have grown over the years, especially after Allahabad was dropped and Prayagraj came into being in 2018. Sanjay Singh, councillor of ward number 100, officially tabled the proposal. BJP has a comfortable majority in the corporation. The board has adopted my proposal and will hold a discussion on it on Tuesday. Primarily, I have proposed two names, Gajnagar and Harnandi Nagar. Ghaziabad holds a significant place in history. It's high time the city is accorded its rightful place, he added. After the forefront of the efforts in Mahend Narayangiri, the head priest of Dudheshwar Nath Temple in 2020, he met Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and submitted a memorandum. The CM assured me he would look into the demands. I had suggested that Ghaziabad should be named either Gajprast, Dudheshwar Nath Nagar and Harnandipuram, Giri said. But why these three names? In Mahabharata, the area that Ghaziabad today was once a part of Hastinapur, just 40 km from here. This was a forested area and home to many wild animals like elephants. Since Gaj means elephant and the name Gajpura or Gajnagar may be apt, Giri said. Elephants had been mentioned in the UP District Gazetters of Meerut, a government booklet of records that was last published in 1966. Both in the Mahabharata and the works of Kalidas, there is a mention of huge and dense forest to the north of Hastinapur where it appears. Elephants lived in large numbers. This place is known by many other names and is probably not a mere coincidence that they are mostly synonyms of the word meaning elephant. Read the 7th edition of Gazetteer. Giri said the name Harnandi Nagar alluded to the Hinden river which flows past the city. How did Ghaziabad find its name? According to gazetteers, in 1739, Nadir Shah of Iran invaded the country and sacked Delhi, causing disruption in the neighboring district. In 1740, Ghaziuddin founded Ghaziuddin Nagar and it was shortened to Ghaziabad with the opening of the railways in 64 by the British. The Delhi Metro Rail Corporation will construct a multi-story building for Indian Air Force staffers of Vayu Sena Vihar on the upcoming Delhi Aerocity Tughlakabad corridor of Phase 4. DMRC has recently invited a tender for the construction of the multi-story building for the Air Force personnel. The building will have 7 floors, a senior official said. After the tender is awarded, the work is expected to be completed in around 18 months. The staff quarters are being constructed as per a memorandum of understanding between IAF and DMRC as an equivalent value infrastructure and lieu of the land transfer by the Defence Ministry to DMRC for the Saket Sangam Vihar section of line 10, the official added. The nearest metro station will be Anand Mein Marg Junction and Sangam Vihar, which will be around 1.5 km from the proposed complex. The Aerocity Tughlakabad corridor fall on the 23-long Silver Line that will have 15 stations. The corridor, a significant addition to the city's metro network, aims to address the increasing transportation demands on Mehroli-Badarpur Road, Chhatarpur Extension and Mahipalpur due to the growing population. A large track of Aravlis in Faridabad is starting at the link of resumption of mining in the near future as Haryana government is pursuing its case in the Supreme Court for 21. However, what has come in its way is the discoveries in the hills of Mangar and Sohna, which dating back to the Paleolithic era were accidentally found by environmentalists and reported in the media. The Supreme Court in the last hearing has directed Haryana government to file a response and ensure that if the report is correct, no damage is caused in the areas of the findings. It listed the matter of hearing on Tuesday. Sources said the archaeological department has sought more time for detailed survey by experts of authenticate the findings and delineate areas that need to be preserved before any mining is allowed. To give relief to registered auto rickshaws, taxis, buses, tempos and other passenger and goods vehicles, the Transport Department has done away with the requirement of obtaining a company's fitness certificate for speed governors. The fitness can now be checked at the department's vehicle inspection unit. A speed governor is a device that can limit speed to a preset limit, thus improving a vehicle's efficiency and road safety. Currently, all types of commercial vehicles are required to submit a speed governor certificate issued by the manufacturer or the dealer to get a fitness check or the renewal process. The certificate was made mandatory for the vehicles registered before October 2025. According to a senior official of the Transport Department, several companies that were installing speed governors closed or stopped doing it, due to which drivers were facing problems. For the convenience of vehicle owner and drivers, the department has decided to phase out the mandatory speed limit certificate, said an official. The department has also issued a circular in this regard. Delhi High Court has observed that a school cannot be allowed to make errors while uploading the internal assessment marks of a student on the website of CBSE and then move a plea to correct it. While disposing of a student's plea to rectify her internal assessment marks, a single judge bench of Justice said utter chaos would prevail if schools were permitted to commit errors while uploading students' marks to the CBSE website and then move the board to correct them. CBSE would also not be in position of blindly accept such requests and would, if the practice were not allowed, have to conduct independent verification in each such case to ascertain the actual marks which the candidate has been awarded, the court added further. The father of a student had moved to court seeking a direction to CBSE to correct the girls' internal assessment marks in social studies for class 10th in academic year 1920 from 18 to 20 marks. But pointing out the CBSE circulars that disallow the revision of the marks, the court said they were eminently in public interest, which this is one of those unfortunate cases in which the court regrets that it has to rule from the head and not from the heart, Justice Shankar said. Aam Aadmi Party's sitting Rajya Sabha members Sanjay Singh and Narayan Das Gupta and former DCW chairperson Swati Maliwal filed their nominations for the biennial elections of 3 seats of Upper House on Monday, which will be held on January 19. The 3 candidates filed their papers at the Civil Line Office of Transport Commissioner cum Principal Secretary, who has been appointed as the returning officer of the election. Since the members of Rajya Sabha are elected by the legislatures of state and union territories, and AAP having 62 MLAs in the 70-member Delhi Legislative Assembly, sources said BJP, like the previous elections, was unlikely to field its candidates. Singh, Gupta and Maliwal were named as AAP's official candidates for 3 seats on Friday. The 6-year term of 3 sitting members Singh, Andy Gupta and Sushil Kumar Gupta would end on January 27, while Singh and Andy Gupta have been nominated again. Maliwal has replaced Sushil Gupta, who said AAP functionaries is likely to involve him in active politics in Haryana. Singh, who is currently in judicial custody in connection with a money laundering case linked to the now withdrawn Delhi excise policy, arrived at the Transport Department's office in a jail van amid tight security to file his nomination papers. The AAP leader's supporters raised slogans like Sanjay Singh Zindabad and Jail ke Tale Tod this. Anita Singh and Sanjay Singh's close aide son Abhinav Mishra also filed their nomination as cover candidates. Talking to reporters, Anita said AAP national convener and Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal has given a huge responsibility to Sanjay Singh to re-nominating him for the second term. This must be the first time in the history that someone is coming from jail to file the Rajya Sabha nomination. Sanjay Singh has created a history, she claimed, adding that her husband would soon be out of jail to serve people. After filing her nomination papers, Maliwal also thanked Kejriwal for this opportunity. I have just filed the nomination for the Rajya Sabha elections and I am very emotional. I want to thank Delhi CM Kejriwal, Manish Sisodia and Sanjay Singh from the bottom of my heart for sending a common woman like me to the Rajya Sabha, she said. The conflict surrounding the attacks on ED teams in Bengal intensified Monday, with the central agency contending that the state police FIR only registered bailable and non-scheduled offences in the January 5 assault. ED alleged that its complaint to police has cited multiple non-bailable penal sections including attempt to murder and rioting, but these charges were omitted. On January 5, a mob of around 200 villagers from Sandesh Khali in North 24 Parganas district attacked and wounded 3 ED officials when the central agency, along with the force of CRPF men, went to search the house of local Trinamool leader Sheikh as part of investigation into alleged Rupees 550 crore ration scam. Sandesh Khali was one of the 18 places visited by ED teams on that day as part of their probe. ED faces a similar hostile situation, with its team visited the premises of TMC leader Shankar Adhya in the area of Bangaon. The agency claimed that they had not been given copies of FIR in both the cases. Bengal police, however, refuses ED's claims, asserting that ED's allegations were baseless. Bashirhat SP Joby Thomas said a suo motu case has been lodged even before the ED's complaint, and police were conducting a preliminary inquiry. India has now deployed over 10 frontline warships into Marine Command. India has now deployed over 10 frontline warships with marine commandos in the region stretching from North and Central Arabian Sea to the Gulf of Aden, further stepping out its naval presence to show the flag and deter piracy and drone strikes. This unprecedented enhanced maritime security operations are being conducted independently by India, which has refrained from joining the US-led multinational Operation Prosperity Guardian launched in the Red Sea in December after attacks on civilian as well as military ships by Houthi rebels of Yemen. With escalating piracy and drone attacks on commercial vessels threatening critical sea lanes of communications, which has already led to a major jump in freight rates, Indian Navy is maintaining a persistent presence in Arabian Sea, senior officials told. Indian warships are deployed all over the region to enhance surveillance and deterrence against the twin threats from pirates and drone strikes. The aim is to help stabilize the situation in the Arabian Sea and promote net maritime security, an officer said. Regular intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions are being flown by P-81 long-range maritime patrol aircraft and armed Sea Guardian drones, both of which are capable of providing live feeds of high-resolution imagery with their electro-optic and advanced sensor from the west coast. The warship deployed include guided missile destroyer like INS Kolkata, INS Kochi, Chennai and Marmagao, as well as multi-role frigates like INS Talwar and Tarkash. The Navy and Coast Guard were also closely coordinating the enhanced surveillance of the country's exclusive economic zone. It was 7,500-ton INS Chennai and its commandos, backed by P-8 aircraft, which thwarted the attempted hijack of a Liberia-flagged merchant vessel MV Lila Norfolk and rescued 21-member crew in the Arabian Sea on January 5. The Navy also dismissed a misconception that its warships are not geared against drone attacks. They have a variety of guns, short and medium range air defense missiles, as well as some jammers that can be used if a situation warrants, he added. While the Navy may not be part of Operation Prosperity Guardian, there is continuous sharing of information and coordination with all navies of friendly foreign countries, including US, UK, and France, of bolster maritime security and domain awareness. To manage fatigue-related aviation safety risk better, Directorate General of Civil Aviation on Monday came out with a revised flight duty time limitations norms, which include a 12-hour increase in pilots' weekly rest period, extension of night duty period, limiting the number of night flight landings to only 2 as against 6 earlier, and mandating airlines to file quarterly fatigue reports. Though the revised FDTL regulations for rostering of flight crew have came into immediate effect, airlines have been given time till June 1 to comply with these norms, said India's aviation regulator. After an in-depth analysis of pilot roster, fatigue-related reports and direct feedback from pilots, we have introduced revised FDTL regulations that include increased rest periods, redefining night duty, and regular fatigue reports to be shared by airlines, Union Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia posted on X. Airlines operating a tight flight crew roster might have to recruit more pilots, said an airline official. A significant change in an increase in pilots' weekly rest period from 36 hours to 48 hours. It's a welcome move. Unlike others who have 5 or 6 day week, our weekly rest period comes after 7 days of working an average of 10 to 12 hours a day with no fixed duty time, said a pilot. The other revision comes by the way of definition of night duty. Earlier, flights scheduled between midnight and 5 am fall into the ambit of night duty and attracted increased rest periods. Now, night duty period has been extended to 6 am. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday asserted that there was a buzz about Modi ki guarantee not only in India but at global level, as he dwelled upon the counters of the guarantees and the rationale of reaching beneficiaries in the mission mode, and also underlined the link between the resolution of a developed India and the saturation coverage of welfare schemes. Interacting with the beneficiaries of the ongoing Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, the Prime Minister highlighted the struggle of the poor, youth, women and farmers over many generations and explained the rationale behind the campaign. Our government wanted the present and future generations to not have to live with life that the earlier generation lived. We want to get a large part of the population of the country out of the struggle for small daily needs. Therefore, we are focusing on the future of the poor, farmers, women and youth. For us, these are the 4 biggest caste of the country. When the poor, farmers, women and youth are empowered, the country will will become powerful, PM said in the virtual interaction with the VBSY beneficiaries, as he also referred to the global buzz about Modi ki guarantee, citing the unquenches of the campaign where the government reached the doorstep of citizens to deliver its welfare schemes. The Prime Minister said that the scheme has completed 50 days recently and has connected with about 11 crore people in such a short span of time. The campaign has become not only the journey of the government but also the journey of the country, he said. Modi reiterated the chief goal of the scheme is not to leave out any deserving beneficiary from the benefits of government schemes. He informed that since the Yatra began, 12 lakh new applications of Ujjwala connections were received, along with lakh of applications for Suraksha Bima Yojana, Jeevan Jyoti Yojana and PM SYA Nidhi. Throwing light on the impact of scheme, the Prime Minister informed that health checkups for more than 2 crore people have been carried out so far, for including 1 crore TB checkups and 22 lakh checkups of Cell-sick. Today, the Prime Minister said that the doctors are reaching the doorsteps of the poor, Dalits, deprived and the tribals, which was considered a challenge by previous governments. Seat sharing for Lok Sabha polls between Mahavikas Aghadi constituents seems to be headed for trouble after Congress invited applications from aspirants in all 48 seats last week. Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut staked claim of the Israeli military has begun a new and less intense phase in the invasion of Gaza, its chief spokesperson said Monday. After weeks of pressure from the US and other allies to scale back an offensive that has caused widespread devastations and civilian deaths, the spokesperson said the Israeli campaign has already started the transition of a campaign that would involve fewer ground troops and airstrikes. The war shifted a stage, told New York Times, but the transition will be with no ceremony. It's not about dramatic announcement, he added. Officials said Israel continued to reduce the number of troops in Gaza. A process had begun this month, indicating that Israel has degraded Hamas military capabilities in northern Gaza. Haggari said the military would now focus on the groups of southern and central strongholds, particularly along the cities of this. His comments came hours before Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, has scheduled to arrive in Israel as a part of a multi-stop tour of West Asia, aimed at preventing the Gaza conflict from escalating into a broader regional war. On Monday, he was holding talks in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Maldivian President Mohamed Muizzu, who arrived in China on the first state visit Monday, praised Beijing as a valued ally and integral collaborator of the Indian Ocean island nation and hailed the cooperation between the two countries. Muizzu's maiden visit to China has been marred by a diplomatic row with India, triggered by the derogatory remarks against PM Narendra Modi by some Maldivian ministers. Muizzu, who is regarded as pro-China, met provincial officials in first day of his 5-day visit. While China is yet to release his official itinerary, and Foreign Ministry in Beijing said earlier that he is due to hold talks with the Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping and sign several agreements. In his meeting with senior officials of the China Communications Construction Company Limited, which has done projects in the Maldives, Muizzu underscored the significance of China as a valued ally and an integral collaborator of the development journey of the Maldives. Monday morning was the lowest moments in the history of Delhi cricket. The team lost to Puducherry, a team that scored playing first-class cricket just 5 years ago, by 9 wickets at home in their opening match of the Ranji Trophy. Shami targets England series for return. Currently sidelined with an ankle injury, Premier fast bowler Mohammad Shami is likely to make his international comeback in the 5-test series against England at home. Shami, who will be honoured with the Arjuna Award on Monday, that his rehabilitation at the National Cricket Academy is going well and he will be available for selection for the England series. My rehabilitation is well on track and my medical experts at NCA are happy with my progress. There is slight stiffness in my ankle, but that's fine. I have started my training sessions and I believe I will be able to make a comeback in the England series. I am targeting the series for my return, the 32-year-old said. Opener Rituraj Gaikwad, who suffered a ring finger fracture in the second ODI during India tour of South Africa recently, should be available for selection from the third Indian-England test, which will be played in Rajkot from February 15. Ruturaj is recovering at the National Cricket Academy and should be fit after a week of 10 days. He will subsequently be available for Maharashtra in the Ranji Trophy. He is likely to be available for the selection after the second test of the series, a source said. In the Indian Premier League, Mahendra Singh Dhoni personifies Chennai Super Kings. Among those, the 42-year-old has inspired in former South African all-format skipper Faf du Plessis. The 39-year-old was picked by the Chennai franchise as an uncapped player in 2011. Having learned the ropes from Dhoni, Faf moved to the Royal Challenger Bangalore in 22 to marshal the team after Virat Kohli decided to relinquish captaincy. After a decade with the Dhoni-Stephen Fleming combination, Faf left with the tricks of the trade which continued to hold him the good stead. Faf, who returned in the Super Kings signature yellow as a captain of Joburg Super Kings franchise at the Betway South Africa 20 League last season, is excited to be back as the season 2 of the competition gets underway on Wednesday. Oh.